What's going on, guys? I just wanted to do a video on PLTR. Now, a while back, we made a video about how PLTR, on this big run that it had here, was going to run into some major resistance up at this 2760 level. And if we were able to clear that level, we could expect pretty high prices. We ended up creating this rising wedge. And once we broke down from this rising wedge, I actually put in a very big short position, or I bought a couple puts, and I wrote it down to about 23 bucks, and that's when I took my profits. And we ended up coming a lot lower than I expected. We came all the way down to this $20 level. However, we did something very interesting. We found a lot of support on this upper trending line right here that I ended up drawing from this low down here at 17 all the way up. Now, recently, we broke through one of the most key resistances that we've came across here, and it actually comes in pretty solid confluence with a key fib retracement level that we're going to go over in a second. If we draw our fib retracement from that $17 low to this $45 high, what do we see here at the 0.618 fib? 2767. It's roughly the same key area of 2760 roughly that we've been rejected at. We had turned it into support and then failed, so we tried to turn it into support, I should say. We found a lot of resistance here. When we broke it, we spiked pretty damn high. This was the first rip. And then we got rejected a few times up here in this 2935 area. So, right now, as we're breaking out of this potential large ascending wedge with this flat top with this 2767 resistance, we could make a pretty bullish case here that now that we've broken it, although we might have to still come back and back test it, and that's usually to be expected, especially since when we look at the lower time frames we might see a little overextension. However, the target here actually brings us up to 3840, which is the 0.236 fib. So this is very exciting for PLTR, as long as we can maintain above and at least close. Well, it seems we have closed a 4-hour candle above here. I don't have any volume set right now, but what we can see here is a clear breakout of this key level here. So we do want to keep in mind that we will have some potential resistance up at this 2950 to 2930 level. So it's potentially possible that we could hit that and either, maybe create some kind of falling wedge. I know that's an ugly drawing. Create some kind of falling wedge that backtests this key area. We can possibly expect a wick, because sometimes that happens. We could get a wick here to fake some people out, stop some people out down to this 2681. That's very possible. However, I am going to really be watching this 0.618 fib at 2767. And another thing that we can also do, if we get rid of some of these previous drawings, just to clear this up a little bit more, we can also make a case that this was a beautiful W pattern that we just broke the neckline of. So we could probably usually the W pattern is, that's a very bullish W pattern, because you always want to see with a W pattern a left part of the W and then a higher low. So that right there is a very clear W right here. And then the neckline of the W was right at that 0.618 fib. So the W pattern would actually bring us up with a target pretty close to the 0.618 fib as well. So that would land us around 3712. Now we obviously will have some resistance here at this 0.5 fib, roughly 31 bucks, and then the 0.382 at 3430 that we'll have to keep our eyes on. But the first key thing we want to see is we want to see a solid base form right on the 0.618 fib, because that's something that we have not been able to do with PLTR. And as long as we can confirm support there, then we can definitely say that this thing has a lot of room to run. However, looking at the 1 hour right now, our RSI is roughly in a range that you can look at the RSI in the past where it gets a pretty strong rejection at. So we want to be cautious with that scenario here. So, you know, we could also say that previously to this breakout here, we had an uptrending support there and an uptrending resistance here, something on the lines of that, which would be a rising channel. Now, rising channels usually would break to the upside, to the downside. However, we got a very solid push to the upside in it. So, you know, if we were to have a fake, that fake out where we got rejected somewhere up at this 29.35 area, and we came back down into this rising channel here, that area of support would be roughly around $26. So, you know, it's tough to say exactly how it's going to play out here. So knowing that this is a key rejection level, we're going to have to play it a little safe in regards to that. But like I've said, is the key thing we're watching here is support found somewhere in this range here from roughly 2680 to the key level of that 2750. And I know I'm not the only one looking at this. There's a lot of big traders and a lot of people calling for the same exact thing, seeing the same exact thing. And when everybody is agreeing on the same thing, that's a great reason to see. You know, when the market's all agreeing on the same thing, that usually indicates an easier chance for it to move to the upside like this. So, you know, looking at the daily here, you know, we're just finally starting to get into some strength area here around the 70, and that's not too overextended or anything. So we still have room to come up on the daily time frame here, even if we consolidated sideways a little bit around those ranges I was just discussing. So, you know, let's just keep an eye on this thing for tomorrow and see how we do. Let's see if we can get a weekly close above this 2767 area. You know, for the time being, I'm gonna delete this fib retracement if I can get a hold of it. There we go. Whoop, that was not it, but there it is. I deleted my main resistance, but let me just take a look and clear some of this out quickly before I end this video. This is just going to be a short one because I wanted to see. I don't see any Ichimoku cloud resistance anywhere. We could probably look at this 29. Yeah, there's that 29.30 level. 28.59. We can see here we had a 28.59 weekly touch here. Pretty close to this $28 here on a weekly support. So that's something we do have to be cautious of here, just in regards to the weekly time frame, is that, you know, there wasn't many times where it got a weekly close above this key range here. It was a very little amount of time that we got any type of weekly closes here. So, you know, with this being such a key resistance, you know, as much as we want to maintain bullish, and this thing can definitely have some room to be very, very bullish here, in the same sense, we could almost make a case that this is such a strong resistance that we might want to start buying some potential puts as the price rises here, seeing that throughout the whole entire life it has not been able to hold above this level. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't continue up and actually create these new highs like I'm saying here, because it looks like it's pretty damn good. But you know, looking at this potential resistance right here of this 28.60 that we actually touched here, we haven't been able to do any weekly closes above. So with that being said, we just want to keep all of this in mind. We don't want to get over bullish and bet too much on, you know, the bullish side of it. However, there is a lot of bullish things I can see here. So the first thing we want to see, in my opinion, is closing a weekly candle above this 0.618 fib. You can see here, the first time we ever closed the candle body above, that was when the following week we had a huge rip. But prior to that, we had a lot of wicks that came all the way up here, sold all the way back off to 24, bought all the way up to 30, came all the way back down to 25, and continued doing that here. But we could never actually close weekly candles above. So, you know, that's the kind of thing that you do want to keep an eye on for a confirmed breakout. You know what I mean? It's not like we're going to miss this if we don't enter now, versus the risk. The least amount of risk would be that entry with that weekly close of a candle body above. And if you see the following weekly close start to open, say Monday, say we close above that 27.7, say we close a weekly candle above this level on tomorrow, then on Monday we'd want to see a very nice confirmed back test or hold above this level here, and that's going to be potentially the rocket ship candle that brings us up where we'd like to be. So those are just my my thoughts here, and I am going to be watching PLTR. I did buy a little bit at that 27.75 break, and then I just kind of am going to keep my stop loss below at break even now that we've touched up in here. If I get stopped out, I'll look for a re-entry if I see a nice weekly candle close above. I'll try to make an updated video this weekend if I do notice anything here. So I just wanted to make this small video. Hopefully this helps. But you can see on the daily, our Ichimoku cloud resistance that we are in as of today was our first daily candle rip out of that area here. And you can see what happened. We had this one candle yesterday, and then today ended up following through once we passed this Ichimoku cloud resistance with a very, very strong rip. So it's just all of this thing that we have to keep in mind. That low support is all the way down at 24.50 if we had a strong rejection. And then if that was the case and we did get some kind of rejection, we could almost make a case that this could be an insane entry point which would scare a lot of people away, and we would be buying that for the final rip. But, you know, these are all things I'll be watching as a swing trader. So, you know, keep all this stuff in mind, and I hope this video helps you guys. Good luck with your trading. Peace.